Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Holler Boys Racing TV. This is Steve Singer up in the HBR TV booth, coming to you live from virtual Martinsville Speedway, Ridgeway, Virginia, for tonight's Apex Pro Throwback Brand Cup Series event. 100 laps here around Martinsville. Kind of a pre-season exhibition for these guys before they get their regular season underway. Practice is just about wrapped up. We're going to get into qualifying here in just a moment. Set the field for tonight's event. First car on track tonight. It's Joel Conley out of Titusville, Florida. Looks like he's sporting some Terry Labonte colors. This time for sure. Pulls out of pit lane. Down the back stretch here, getting ready to take the green for his qualifying attempt. Number 44, Piedmont Airlines entry. Front brakes already good and hot on that machine. .21.12, lap 1 for Joel Conley. Oh, a little loose off turn 2. Sacrifice that second lap with that incident off the backstretch. Got Cody Bullock in the number 2 Rusty Wallace paint scheme. Not going well for him on lap 2. The number 30 All-Pro entry. Going with the Midnight Rider here. All black, no numbers, no nothing. That's going to be hard to call. Guys, while qualifying's wrapping up, I'm going to double check my audio. Seems a little light. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, told you that wouldn't be long. Get Gary Corley on track. Right now, third quick on the timesheet, 21.4.25 in that Alan Kowicki Hooters entry. Good looking car. Got Brendan Bedonia and that number 5. Is that Ricky Rudd or a Jeff Bodine paint? Not sure. Pretty similar. I think it's a Jeff Bodine paint. Levi Garrett. 21.22 for Brendan. That puts him third quick. Next up, we've got the Tim Richmond entry. Jamie Haynes behind the wheel, that number 25. Jamie Haynes' first lap, good enough for fourth quick, a 21.332. Lap 2 for Jamie clocks in 21.306, just a tick quicker on his second lap. I think that's going to about do it. There's a couple of cars that have not made an attempt yet, maybe just opting to start at the back. And here we have the number 43 familiar entry. Don't even need to tell you whose paint this is supposed to be. Okay, I will. Obviously, that's a Richard Petty paint scheme. Nick Wunick, I'm going to go with. Sorry, Nick, if I butchered the last name. Nick waiting till real late in the session to take his attempt, hoping track temperatures come down a little bit, provide a little bit more grip. Lap 1 looked pretty smooth. Let's see if it was quick. First time, 21.44, good enough for 8th on the board. Got in too deep in 1 and 2. That's going to kind of throw away lap 2, so that's about where the 43 is going to end up. Lap 2, a couple tenths slower than lap 1. By and large, a result of overdriving turns 1 and 2. Got a Michael Carter. Looks like we've got a Haviland paint. Yep, this is a Davey Allison paint job. Michael Carter making his first attempt at qualifying. Front brake's already good and hot. You can see the brake rotors glowing through those chrome rims. First lap for Michael Carter at 22.07. Going to need to pick it up. He's only 15th on the board right now. Again, tonight's race brought to you by Throwback Brand Cup Racing. Throwback Brand is, I believe, a company that makes old school throwback hats without the big box store prices. You won't find them in the big box stores. And by Apex Pro. I think Apex Pro is a data logger type system for racing and the like. All right, I think that's going to wrap it up. Everybody's taken time, at least gotten 1 lap in, possibly. Yep, everybody's made their 1 to 2 laps. Just a few minutes to wrap up the end of the session, and we will get into the Apex Pro 100 from Martinsville. Welcome back to Martinsville Speedway. Of course, qualifying in the books here. On the front row, we've got Joel Connolly in the 44, that Terry Labonte paint. Starting on the outside, Jesse Scott in the 96. Third is Brendan Madonia in the 5. Looks like a Hendrick Motorsports, Levi Garrett, Jeff Bodine entry. Fourth is Jamie Haynes in the Tim Richmond car. Fifth is Gary Corley in the Alan Kowicki number 7 Hooters entry. Sixth starting spot, the 83 is Simon Grills. 7th is Jordan Shepler. 8th is Nick Winnock in the 43 Richard Petty paint. 9th is Cody Bullock in the 2, looks like a Rusty Wallace paint. 10th is Lorenzo Malave in the 84. 11th is Michael Carter in that Davey Allison number 28. 12th out of Georgia is Glenn Lazon. Again, guys, my first race with you. I'm going to butcher some names here tonight. 13th is Joe McAdory in the 12, 312 Motorsports. 14th is Charlie Mosley Jr. in the 89. 15th is Brian Jackson in the 03. 16th, Cody Matthews in the 21. 17th, rounding out the field, last but not least, is Charles Phipps in the 11. Field sitting on the grid, getting ready to take their first of, I believe, 2 pace laps. Pace car rolls away, and as does the rest of the field. We'll be going green shortly. Usually when I do these broadcasts, I pick a favorite to win, but it's the first race of the season. It's kind of hard to judge. It's pretty easy to go with the pole sitter, but I'm going to go with the 25 of Jamie Haynes, just because that 25 car brings back some memories. First race car I ever sat in as a little kid at Watkins Glen. Got to meet Tim Richmond. I barely remember it, but we're going to pick the 25 today. Jamie Haynes as the winner. Car hits pit lane into turn 3. Field working its way around into turn 4. Going to take the green flag. Flag is waving. We're underway. Joel Connolly into turn 1, gets the jump, but on the outside, Jesse Scott goes a little wide, giving the position to the 5 of Brendan Madonia. A little loose off turn 2. It's hard to call that car with no number on it. Couple of jet black cars with no paint. Do my best, guys. Top 2 getting away. Joel Connolly, Brendan Madonia. Top 2 got a pretty good advantage on 3rd place, back to his 2nd and a half. Brendan taking a peek to the inside of Connolly. Nothing doing this time by. Putting lap number 3 on the board. Five looking awfully strong behind the 44 of Connolly. Taking a peek to the inside in turn 3. He's got the position. Makes the pass off turn 4. New leader at the flag. Brendan's starting to put a gap on Connolly. It's up to almost a 2nd already. We do have a yellow, though. Looks like Jordan Shepler and Cody Bullock have crashed. Let's see if we can take a look. So the 33 gets into the back. No, not quite. This replay backs up pretty far, it looks like. We'll just go full speed here. We don't need super slow-mo for 2 laps. Ooh, 2 drives it in deep and takes the 33 out. They both make contact with the wall between 3 and 4. That'll do it. Now, in taking a look at some of the rules for this event, I did not see if they were going to run single file restarts or not. We're trying to make this event somewhat accurate to the time period. Get an early opportunity to find out here at lap 7 of 100. Brian Rose chiming in, sure would like to help. You know what, that's a good idea, and I don't think Brian Rose has access to the Discord, so I'm just going to make a short change here. We'll jump back over shortly. All right, everybody, looks like you're still with me. Brian Rose, if you're still paying attention, you can hop in our broadcast booth in the HBR Holler Boys Racing TV broadcast room. If I got to move over later, I'll move over later. Pace car hits pit lane. Green flag is in the air, and Brian Rose is with us in the booth. Lap 10 of 100 down. Green flag back in the air down the back stretch to 5. Brendan Donia in turns 3 and 4. Already putting a half-second gap on the 44 of Conley. Top 2 again, stretching away. Simon Grills in the 83. That's that jet black car with no stickers on it. Classified as the 83. Gets into the wall off turn 4. Was catching the leaders.
And just in time for the caution, I finally get to the booth.
There he is. Brian Rose, everybody. Brian Rose, a Holler Boys Racing team member and a contributor to HBR TV, helps us out in the booth when he gets the opportunity when he's not behind the wheel. Welcome to the booth, Brian.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I seen these 87s taken to the track at Martinsville for these throwbacks, and I just thought this was one I couldn't miss. It looks exciting out there. Good racing all over the track. 2 cautions already. we'll just see who. This might be a race to just survive.
You know, I tried to convince Brian to jump in this race and run it, but he's like, oh no, I don't even own the 87s. I don't want no part of that.
Nope, just purchased them just about 45 minutes ago, just to get in here and watch them. Thought it'd be exciting.
Well, I will say this much, Brian. Once we get wrapped up here, if we get some free time, we definitely have to turn some laps in these cars, because you haven't done it yet. I have. They are a blast. I mean, short tracks especially, but you know, you're a super speedway guy at heart, and they run incredibly fast at Daytona, Talladega. If you get the opportunity, even iRacing super speedway, they're a handful. But yeah, we're gonna have to do that.
Yeah, I heard that from some other drivers that these are just constantly sawing on the wheel, trying to keep it straight. Definitely make your arms sore in a long race like this, especially here at Martinsville. 100 laps, it might not seem long in other cars. It's a short track, but when you're constantly fighting the wheel like these drivers are tonight, they're definitely going to be sore at the end of this race.
They're definitely swatting flies in these things, that's for sure, even when they're handling well.
Just definitely, I love seeing all these throwback paint schemes. Definitely reminds me of when I first started watching racing, and you know, that's what you go for. You get everybody involved and you get all these throwback schemes on at a place like this. You know, just exciting racing, and it's a good field tonight, it looks like.
17 entries tonight, so they did end up with a decent size. They were expecting 20, so just a few short. It is just an exhibition, and they're going to try and put on a show for us. The paint schemes that they went with, the whole intent was, being that it's an exhibition, they wanted to go with the actual paint schemes from the 80s. I know some of them are a little bit newer, like you got Alan Kowicki's paint out there, a Rusty Wallace job, and either way, they all look pretty good.
Definitely on that Folgers car. I'm liking that one a whole lot.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I didn't have anybody to make a pick with, so at the beginning of the race, I just picked my own based on the sentimental. That 25 car was the first NASCAR race car I saw in person and got to sit in as a young lad at Watkins Glen in 1986. So, sentimental favorite. I picked the 25 to win tonight. We'll see if he can pull it off. He's back in the 10th spot.
Definitely got a long way to go. I won't pick on you. 1986, I wasn't even born yet.
Yeah, I was 3.5 years old. Definitely one of my earliest memories at Watkins Glen. Debbie Rose chiming in. The 80s was the best racing. Yeah, I mean, we like to glorify it, but 4 cars on the lead lap, I don't know how great of a race that was, but we like to think it was good. Either way, green flag's out, the 5 in the gas, not so much spins the tires. 44 does a good job to avoid, takes the inside, but puts the 43 to his right.
Oh, the 11's in the wall. Place the 83, but they keep it straight. They keep it going.
They must have
track position.
A little wiggle off the 4th place running machine, Lorenzo Malave. I'm going to butcher that name all night long. 30 at Glen Lazone.
With the 84s in the walls, watching him. Now, I don't have a whole lot of experience in these cars, and it being a track like Martinsville, there's going to be beating and banging, but the 84 Taco Bell car definitely has some front end damage. Do these cars typically like to overheat, you know, on short runs, long runs?
You know, I've done racing with them, but I would say 99% of it has been on the super speedways, Daytona, Talladega, and usually you wreck them, it's over. I mean, the car's in a million pieces. I haven't really had any minor damage enough to worry about.
We got a wrecking Ford.
Jesse Scott looks like has crashed, as well as Jordan Scheffler again. I think Jordan was involved in an earlier incident. Let's go back and take a look. So looks like Jesse's in the number 96, but that is a complete blackout paint. There's nothing on that car, so again, hard to call it. We're going to go full speed because the camera's backing up way too much.
Looks like we just got turned right there. Ouch, big hit.
25 turns the 96 of Jesse Scott. Then gets clipped by the other jet black car. It's probably Jordan Shepler. Are those cars completely black on your screen, Brian?
No, they are not.
Really?
Let me go back here and we'll see what paint they're in.
All right, well, pace car lights are still on. I'm going to take a quick break, see if I can correct that issue.
Still live?
Well, we reloaded the paints on the cars. Hopefully that corrects the issue. Not sure if it's going to, but see Jesse Scott. Nope, still showing a black paint on that car. Not sure why. I got the hide car numbers clicked, so it should display any kind of custom graphic work, but I digress. Eddie Rose is watching as well. We got the whole Rose family involved. Brian, Debbie, and Eddie. Sounds like a sitcom. Just past the quarter mark here of the Apex Pro 100.
Yeah, definitely got to give a shout out to Mom and Dad for chiming in here and watching this race. Definitely big supporters of the page and everything that we're doing at HBR, so we definitely appreciate them. I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at without them. That's for sure.
Got to thank the family for sure. Pace cars in, green flag in the air. We are doing single file restarts again. This is a throwback race, so throwback rules. Brendan Madonia into turn one with the advantage still over pole sitter Joel Conley. We got a wreck again, it sounds like. I hear these cars beating and banging. No yellow just yet.
Nope, they all keep it straight and go on. Just way drove it in there too deep. Turned the Folgers car. Oh, they're wrecking again out of 4.
Well, now we got a yellow flag. We're going to take a quick look. The incident with the 25. Good jump by the 89. 28 just overdrives it into one. Spins the 25. Gets collected by a couple of cars. Then we'll go back to the Jordan Shepler crash. In that number 33 Skull Bandit paint. Just loses it all on his lonesome. So lap 30, we're under caution once again. It's our 4th caution of the afternoon.
So do we know who drove the Skull Bandit race car back in the day?
Well, I know. Do you know?
I know. Hey, you can't be a race fan and not know who drove that car.
I'm sure the whole Rose family knows. It's Handsome Harry.
That's right. I'm sure we got, Dad's got 5 or 6 of those die casts put away somewhere.
So 30 laps in, the 5 of Madonia is still our leader. Joel Conley third. Nick Winnick, again, I apologize for the names. He's running third. Fourth is Lorenzo Malave. And fifth is Brian Jackson. Cycle through the field real quick under caution. Take a look at these paint schemes. Got the Terry Labonte Piedmont colors, Richard Petty colors. Fourth, we got the Taco Bell paint scheme. Anybody remember who drove that car? I know Earnhardt Jr. drove a Taco Bell car once, but I don't think it was that far back. Brian Jackson going the easy route with the Goodwrench Chevrolet. Got the All-Pro number 30. Gary Corley in that Ellen Kowicki paint. Michael Carter running the Davey Allison Haviline colors. Jesse Scott, unfortunately, if Jesse, you've got a good paint on that car, all I see is a black paint. Not sure what happened there. Cody Bullock in that Miller Lite Rusty Wallace paint job. Cody Matthews. Oh, where's the 11? Oh, the 11's probably a lap down. Yeah, 11's got the Busch colors. 21 at Cody Matthews in that Chattanooga Chew machine. That's a good looking paint. Of course, we got Jordan Scheffler out of Owensboro, Kentucky. I believe that's the home of the Waltrip brothers. Stewart, Virginia. That's a familiar place. That's home of the Wood brothers. Jamie Haynes in that Tim Richmond car. Another number 89. That's a black paint. Mobile, Alabama. Charles Pitts, we had him earlier, and Joe McAdory. Hometown is Auburn. No paint on that car. There was earlier, but we're under green. Levi Garrett, number 5, down into turn 1, blocks the low lane. 44, Joel Conley, tucks in behind. Now, like we talked earlier, Brian, you're more of a super speedway intermediate racer. I mean, how do you feel about tracks like Martinsville, these little half-mile, this paperclip, these flat tracks?
Oh man, there's definitely my weakness. I know coming up in one of our next SCAR races that we race on Tuesday nights, we're going to be going to Phoenix. Been trying to put some time in on that track. The intermediate tracks, not so well. Limited banking. I just tend to overdrive the car. Martinsville, though, I like Martinsville. Even though it's flat, it's short, get away with a lot of rough housing on tracks like this in Bristol. It's those real intermediate, funky-looking tracks like Phoenix I really struggle at. Darlington, they could just take that completely off the schedule.
I love Martinsville.
I do. I like Martinsville. I like going to it, too. Martinsville's a good time.
Never been to the paperclip. It's always a good race, though, to watch on TV. It's on the bucket list. Got to make a trip out there one of these years.
Oh, they're wrecking off of 4 again.
Cody Matthews and Charlie Mosley Jr., it looks like. Yellow flag is out. Let's take a peek. Watch the 21 at Cody Matthews. I think Charlie Mosley is in the 89, that black car there. Matthews slides up out of the groove, gives up the position, but back into turn 1, I think, is where we have our incident. Late on the brakes, gets into the 89, dumps him into turn 1.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, the 89, I know we're having a little bit of technical issues, but the 89 is the Copenhagen car, which is a real awesome looking Chevy. But yeah, he just got drove into right there. I don't know what the deal was with that. If that was a lingering issue, a carryover from another race, but yeah, he got ran over there.
So that Copenhagen paint, is that like the A.J. Foyt paint scheme that he ran when he ran his select few NASCAR races?
It's a 10-4.
10-4. It's a shame we can't see that on the broadcast. I don't know what's going on with that. I know Trading Paints has been hit and miss acting up as of late. I've had this issue happen only once before. Granted, it was with the whole field the last time, so lucky it's only a handful.
And it's definitely got the right number on that Copenhagen paint.
Can't imagine why you'd say that.
Looks like we got some takers coming down pit road. I know these cars are modeled off of the old 80s cars. These should be able to beat and bang, but maybe not so much as what we're seeing out here right now. I mean, they are not giving any room to anybody. They're racing like it's the last lap. Uh, Man, we got a long way to go.
Well, Joe McAdory, he's the guy that reached out to me about doing this broadcast. He's kind of the league admin. He did run a handful of laps to start the race. You see he's actually in the 17th spot. I think he completed maybe 15 laps, and then he's going to dump on off and kind of be an admin for the rest of the race. But he warned us. He's like, you're going to see a wreck fest. I'm like, that's all right. It's Martinsville, and so far it's been good. It's been cool to watch. I mean, it's neat to see these paint schemes run around Martinsville during the day.
It absolutely is. And another thing I was noticing, if you ever get a good shot of the brake rotors, even in the daytime. Now, at nighttime, you know, in a short track, you expect to see some brake rotors glowing, but it is hard to see on TV during the day. But once these cars get up to speed and they start braking hard, these rotors are glowing even in the daytime. And it's going to be interesting to see who has any brakes left at the end of the race.
Yeah, it's interesting. Even in qualifying, at the end of lap 1, the front rotors were noticeably glowing already. So these old school brakes on these 30-plus-year-old vehicles, definitely not up to today's standards as far as heat dissipation is concerned. They definitely get hot quick. So we're in Martinsville. You say you've been to Martinsville, Brian. Have you ever had a Martinsville hot dog?
You can absolutely not go to Martinsville without eating at least 3 to 5 Martinsville hot dogs.
So they're good. You're going to say that they're a good hot dog.
Oh, they're very good. Took all my money.
Pace car hits pit lane. Field working off turn 4, seeing the green flag in hand. 5 in the gas. He's underway. .44 Joel Conley seems quick enough to keep pace. Then we got Michael Carter crashed, and we have our 6th caution of the day, just 5 laps shy of halfway. It's going to be one of those days. Let's go back and take a look. So Michael Carter in the 28 Davey Allison entry. Trying to get in and change the rewind time for my replays, but I haven't had enough time once we go green to do it. Down into turn 3. It looks like the 2 again overdrives turn 3, just cuts off to 28 and turns it across the nose of the 21. I think it's the second incident today where the 2 has missed his entry, missed his braking point into the corner. I know he did have some issues with connection dropping out, but nonetheless, turns his 28.
Definitely down there cutting the grass, and unfortunately just came up into the other cars on the track. Yeah, that's unfortunate for those guys. One thing too about Martinsville, Steve, say you've never been. You sit down low in the corners now, it might have changed. Different tire compounds, they evolve over the years. But when I was there, you had to watch out for the flying rubber coming off of the worn tires. I sat down in the middle of 3 and 4, and you could pretty much just reach your hand out and catch the rubber flying off the cars.
Yeah, I've had that happen at a couple of dirt tracks where we didn't know what we were going to do and why we were sitting where we were sitting. And first lap, we got a face full of dirt.
Be honest, did you have the pantyhose over your solo cup?
I don't think I was even old enough to carry a solo cup at the time. Eddie Rose chiming in with the trivia question. Who was driving that Taco Bell car? Says David Gilliland was the driver of that car. I think David had a lot more runs in it than anybody else. I believe Junior did run it once. I think it may have been a Busch car, though. Also remember seeing this 5 Levi Garrett car back it into the tire barrier at the Glen awful hard in practice one year. Might have been 87, 86 or 87. Same year Bill Elliott went in and completely wadded up the car in the carousel. That was before the bus stop, Brian. I know it's your favorite part of the track.
Oh, absolutely love that part. Yeah.
So lap 50 goes up on the board. We're officially at halfway. Pace car lights are off. We're going to go green this time by. Once again, I want to point out our sponsors for the event, Throwback brand, Cup Racing. Throwback brand is essentially a hat company that makes old school classics you're not going to find at the big box stores. And Apex Pro, kind of a data logger system for on and off the track. Green flag's out, cars going to turn 1 and 2. 5 car continues to lead, but the 84 has worked its way up to the 2nd spot in that Taco Bell paint scheme we talked about. Right on the back bumper of Brendan Madonia.
Oh, and the Hooters car, big wreck coming out of 4 again. Turn 3 and 4 seems to be where all this action is happening at. I'm kind of wondering, what's going on down there?
Like I said, you pointed out these brakes get hot awful quick. They get to the end of the backstretch on that opening lap. Maybe they don't have enough heat into the brakes at that point in time, and then they overdrive the corner. These guys got to work on backing up the entry. Let's go back and take a look. Charles Pips, Gary Corley. Here they are coming off 4 for the restart. So the incident was in turn 3. So the 11 in the 7 off 2 down the backstretch. 7 looking inside, just doesn't turn in. It doesn't let off the gas at all. Collects the 28 as well, then recollects the 11 again. That was an ugly wreck.
Seeing that they have 1 fast repair for this race, I'm just kind of wondering, how many are using those fast repairs up right now? It seems like we've wadded a lot of cars up already halfway through this race, and let's see who's got it at the end, because you're definitely going to need one. I just don't think you can be competitive the way these cars are beating and banging around this track and not use one getting later into it.
Just curious what happened to the 44 of Joel Conley. I don't know if he pit. Yeah, it looks like he did pit on lap 46. Took tires. I don't think he took a fast repair because he's running top 2 most of the night, most of the afternoons. The car looks pretty good. He was quick, but he's going to need this to go green for a little while if he's going to make his way back up to the front. I don't think the 5 has had to use a fast repair. But, I mean, really looking through the field, just about everybody else could have or could need to next time they hit pit lane. See, I like driving Martinsville because, to be honest, it does kind of drive like a road course. I know it's only left turns. It is an oval, but corners are relatively flat. There's a lot of heavy braking involved, so if you can kind of nail your entry, use the brakes to turn the car, some road course experience can be beneficial here at Martinsville.
Roll the center. That's important. In the words of Mark Martin, that's how you're fast around Martinsville. Roll the center.
Yeah, roll the center or just carry a lot of brake deeper in the corner than you think you should. I know we've done some racing with some NASCAR guys ourselves in the iRacing and taken some of their advice on how to drive certain tracks. It's almost an uncomfortable feeling as to how long you stay on the brake sometimes, but it's the best way around. It's the fastest lap. Just got to train your brain to think differently. Green flag's out.
Oh, we don't even get to. Is that the 89? Yep, the 89 gets turned right here.
Charlie Mosley Jr. involved again.
Now, I'm noticing that the top few drivers haven't pitted. Now, I wonder, is that a strategy call by them to stay out, because it's looking like it's going to be very hard to work your way back up through the field? Or what's the tire situation in the pits look like, Steve? Do they have extra sets of tires, or are they pretty much limited to just a couple?
I will take a look at that in just a moment to be sure, but just to go back, watching the replay of the 89, looked like he tried to time the restart, hung back a little bit, then caught the car in front of him too soon, jumped on the brakes, and then got collected from behind. Unfortunately, a little bit of games being played by the 89 caused him to get dumped at the start. Now, as far as the session goes, they've got one fast repair. As far as everything else, unlimited sets of tires. Yeah, unlimited tires.
I mean, it's a double-edged sword, really. Do you come in and do you put on sets of tires? Because we know they're wearing them out at this track and these cars. But if you do that and give up all that track position, trying to come from the back with all these cautions, I just don't know. It's a double-edged sword.
Well,
there's no right or wrong answer to it.
It's kind of what we said earlier. You know, if the yellow comes out every lap and a half, I mean, even if you got fresh rubber over the guys that don't, I mean, what advantage is there? I mean, you've got guys that top four didn't pit. 6th and 7th pit in the 20s, 22, 29. And then 7th all the way back to 10th, they pit between 40 and 46. So they got the freshest tires, but they haven't really been able to move up.
They do have the freshest tires. So if we do get a green flag run, we're going to see these bottom half of the top 10 start working their way up to the field. I have to believe that. But got to stay green here.
You know, I would watch the 44, Joe Conley. He put that car on pole tonight. Ran well in the second spot. Did give up the lead to the 5 a few laps in. But he does have fresh rubber compared to the leaders. Again, if they get the green flag runs that they're going to need, I see him cutting through the field. But going to need some clean laps to get it done. Field working down the backstretch. Looks like the last caution lap as the pace car hits pit lane. It's right on board with Lorenzo in the 84. Green flag out. You hear Lorenzo out of the gas through the middle of the corner. That's what we were talking about, rolling the center. Braking, off throttle, back in the gas. Coming off turn 4, little burp of the throttle, gets loose. 5's kind of putting some daylight between himself and the 84. Again, off throttle, back on, just past the apex. Late apex, turn number 2, down the backstretch once again. Hard braking into turn 3. Roll, gas. It's a couple of laps around Martinsville Speedway from the perspective of the 84 machine.
Just watching the 2 car go around the 44 of Joe Conley has worked his way around the 2 car. 2 car, I don't know if he just missed it here tonight, maybe limited practice, but he's been out of the groove, running up the track a little bit, smacking off the wall. He's going to have to really start taking care of that car if he wants to have any speed here in the last part of this race.
Yeah, we saw a couple incidents with the 2, one before you came up into the booth and one since you've been here, where he just overdrove turn 3, got into the cars in front, kind of used them as a brake, but unfortunately brought the caution out both times. Back up front, Brendan Madonia in the 5 car, putting about a second and a third lead on second place. Lorenzo real loose off turn 4, drifting that car off the corner. .44 of Conley has worked his way from the 9th spot up to 6th on those fresh tires. As we said, green flag laps are going to be key to those that decided to stop and get fresh rubber.
Looking inside of the 83 right here, he's got it, and 83 drives it in a little too hard, and he gets into the right rear quarter panel of the 44. They keep it straight and drive off.
Move that Piedmont Airlines number 44 up to the 5th spot.
Like I said, he's on new rubber, so as long as this stays green, I gotta believe here he's got a chance to get up there and challenge for the lead if this stays green.
Well, now if he just gets 1 or 2 more positions, yellow comes out, kind of gets him caught up with the leader, puts him in that second starting row. Got 29 laps to go. Trouble in front of the 44, straightens the car out, smacks the inside wall.
Good heads-up driving there by everybody, staying out of trouble. One thing about the paperclip, there's no room to wreck. If you get that car turned at least a little bit too far left, you're hitting something, whether that's a car or the fence. This is not a very forgiving track.
It's like a small flat Dover. You see Joel Conley has gotten up to the 3rd spot. Highest running car with fresh tires. 5 seconds gap back to the lead.
Oh,
we got spin off turn 2. Simon Grills. Yellow is out for the 9th time here at Martinsville.
Good for the 44. The 83 just looked like he had a pass going and tried to get back into throttle, and he just didn't have any rear grip and looped it around. Didn't really cause a bunch of damage right there to him.
Watching it here between the 83 and that Skull Bandit 33. Battling down the front stretch into turn 1. Looks like the issue off turn 2. 83 does get the curb, which washes him up the racetrack, gets in the throttle a little too early, and around he goes. Very minor incidental contact, if any, from the 33. Even under caution, you see those red brake rotors aglow. While we've been talking, looks like the 5 has taken the opportunity to hit pit lane with 25 laps to go, giving the lead to the 44, Joel Conley. Second place is going to be the 33, Jordan Shepler. Got a few guys on pit lane, quite a few actually. Have to see if this plays out and works. The 44 pitting at lap 46 with all the cautions that we had. There's not a whole lot of green flag action on that set of tires.
And then you look right here at the number 2 car. He pitted at lap 75, and the 3 cars in front of him have pitted in the lap 47. So he's dropped back to 5th now. So if this stays green, can those other drivers with the fresh rubber have the time with the 20-some laps we'll have to go to get up there and catch them? But that one guy Brandon, if he can get up there, if he stays green, he's definitely got a shot at the win right here.
Yeah, Brendan Madonia was our leader, running in the 5th spot now. Fresh tires, pit on this caution. Again, it's going to come down to, can these guys keep it clean the rest of the way? If that's the case, then absolutely the 5's going to come up and challenge for the victory here this afternoon. But if we keep getting cautions every couple of laps, it's going to be difficult. He's going to have to pick the guys off right at the restarts, one at a time. I think he can only afford to have 3 or 4 more cautions, and he's going to run out of time.
Oh, I think it's go time now, Steve. I think if you're up there in the front and you have any hope of getting this win with the amount of cautions that we've seen, you're going to have to be super aggressive here on these restarts. You know, that's where you're going to make most of your time up as the pace car lights are off. We'll go green the next time by, but yeah, you got to be super aggressive right here.
I think this time on this restart, we're going to ride on board with the 5 of Brendan Madonia. He's been out front, no traffic really to deal with all afternoon. Let's see how he can handle some of this traffic. He's got to work his way back up to the front.
Pace car is off, and they start that long, slow ride around turn 3 and 4.
Five turns the 11. He was there. The 11 just came down on him. So far, we stay green. Definitely cost the 5 of Brendan some time, but he's going to have to work it back. 28 car next in his sights.
And that definitely gave a lot of breathing room here to the top 4. They got plenty of room now to just kind of drive away from this pack.
Conley out to the lead, 3/10 on second place, the 25 of Jamie Haynes. Don't forget, I picked that 25 to win the race. So far in contention in the 2nd spot.
He 2's in the wall, the 89 loops it around again in turn 4, but we stay green.
20 to go, green flag stays out. Jamie Haynes really trying to drive it in there deep to get some advantage on the 44 of Conley. Not quite enough. In fact, loses ground in doing so. Overdriving the corner.
The 84 gets into the other car. Here come the fresh tires, Steve. If this stays green, these fresh tires are going to run this top 4 or 5 down.
Now keep in mind, the 84 must have had a fast repair because that car's a lot cleaner looking than it was early on.
And he is coming. I mean, he has caught these top 4 cars, and he's up. The 2's around again. Caution's out.
5 of Brendan Madonia gets past 2 cars in one corner. The 33 and the 25 move Brendan up to the 2nd spot. Not sure if it's going to hold. The yellow flag came out just as he made that pass. I want to take a look at that again. 3 wide through turn 1. Makes it work. Like you said, Eric, new tires, here they come. Got 17 to go. I think we're going to have maybe 14 to go when we go back to green.
Yeah, you're right, Vince. We'll definitely have that many to go.
Steve.
Brian.
Not Vince.
Yeah, you called me Eric there a minute ago, which is okay because Eric Dalton's usually up in the booth with Steve. I'm not up in the booth. Like he said, I'm usually behind the car, the steering wheel of the car, trying to get it done for the HBR team. Just tonight, I thought I'd jump up here in the booth and kind of change things up. So Steve really isn't used to having me by his side up here, so can't really hold that against him.
It's all right. It makes me feel at home because Eric calls me Vince too. Pace car is going to make another lap around, I think, before we get the 1 to go. Going to be 14 left when we get to the line, so it looks like 13 to go when we get the green.
Just trying to figure out. I mean, this is me. I'm putting my driver's helmet on, and if I'm in the back right here with this little of laps to go, I don't have a whole lot to lose. And if I have an unlimited amount of tires to put on, I think I'm coming down to get them. I mean, I'm not going to lose any track position really, and if I'm out here for a win, you gotta play every hand that you're dealt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of thinking the same way too. I know if I'm at the back, yeah, I'm gonna take a stop. I'm gonna get some tires and just freshen them up, even if there's only a couple laps on them. But if I'm 3 or 4 spots up and my tires are only a couple laps old, I'm probably not going to give up that track position because, again, these cautions keep coming out, and they're actually pretty long cautions. I thought we were going to be going green this time, but 13 to go. Pace car lights are just now turned off, so we're going to get the green with 12 to go. I think we ran 5 laps under caution, so if we do this a couple more times, you're not going to have an opportunity to pass any cars. It's just going to be yellow flag laps.
And I'm going to assume, since this is a throwback race trying to keep everything original to the era, we're not going to have any green, white, checkered finishes or anything like that. What you get's what you're going to have.
Well, we'll have to wait and find out. I think you might be right on that, but pace car is in. Conley's going to bring the field to the green off turn number 4. In the gas early, gets a good jump on the flag. Ooh, the 84 is just jamming it in there into turn number 1. Moves the 5 out of the way. The 5 spins the 84, gets into the 25, and spins everybody off turn 2.
Wow. I've got to believe that was a little retaliation right there for the 84 coming up there. Oh, he's coming back on him. Let's see what he does right here.
Hell, pace car almost got that one.
Oh, he gives him a little shot going into 3 right there. He lets him know that he's not happy with him at all.
We'll go back and take a look. That was, wow.
Definitely tempers flaring here in the last part of this race at Martinsville. This is fun to watch.
So again, I apologize. The replay rewind is excessive right now. It's almost 3/4 of a lap. So green flag is rolling in the replay. 84 dives to the inside of the 5, doesn't have really anywhere to go, locks him up, tries to avoid contact with the 5, slides into the Levi Garrett machine, then gets back in the gas, kind of roots his way by the 5 car. The 5 back in the gas hard, just drills the back bumper of that Taco Bell entry, which pushes him into the 25, spins the 25, and then the melee is on from there. The 03 involved. Like I said, even the pace car almost got a piece of that. So 44 Conley still the leader with 9 to go. Brian, I got to say, it kind of seems like what we were worried about happening is happening. You know, if we're running at the back of the pack trying to scarf fresh tires each time, caution came out right away. Got 8 to go. Still got 2 or 3 laps of yellow to work. Do they get enough green flag laps to finish this out, or they just kind of keep doing more of the same?
I don't, with these single file restarts right here, if you're not in the top 3 or 4, I have a hard time believing that you have a shot. But this being an exhibition race, no points or money on the line, who's not afraid? And we've seen it tonight. No one's been scared to use that bumper. So coming to the line to get a win is a win. And that's what you want at the end of the day. It's the only reason why you even get in the race, to get the win. So I got to believe that the 33 right there, even the 96, definitely be looking for that 44's rear bumper here in the next couple laps.
We'll say the 44 Conley has run a pretty clean race from green to yellow to green to yellow, and we'll see white to checkered, but All the corners straight on that number 44. Pace car's in pit lane. We're going to go green at 6 laps to go. Hopefully we can keep them green.
Big gap between 3rd and 4th there. A little bunched up in the back of the field here coming to green. Green's out and we're underway. And the 5 car turns the 11 car. He just dove down in there. But we're still green, and he collects the half the field. But we're still green. I don't know how that didn't bring out a caution.
I don't know if we're on admin yellows now or what, but either way, we stay green. Oh, we got the 2nd place car crashing hard on the front stretch. 5 to go, and we have our 12th caution of the afternoon. We may find out if we have green-white checkers or not. Looks like the 5 actually crashed. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, the 5 spins the 11. 11 comes up across the track, not as bad as it could have been. 5 down the backstretch into 3, heavy on the brakes, catching the 89. He does catch the curb a little bit in 3 and 4.
I just think that's just a product of this car, and you know, he just got turned, so he's not happy about that. And then he had some little retaliation on the part of the Taco Bell car, so he's probably just driving up through the field. You know, he's mad. He's trying to get back to the front.
I see what happened. The 5, like you said, not happy. And he ended up parking it in turn 1 and exiting the car. That is actually what brought the caution out, stopping on the race course. NASCAR doesn't think too highly of that sort of behavior. Even in today's NASCAR, they've been parking guys for a lap or 2 for having a very minor spin and then pretending like the car can't go anywhere. The caution comes out, and magically all of a sudden the car fires up and drives away.
Yeah, I think we recently just seen that in the truck series, where I think it was at Vegas.
We see it in a lot of places, unfortunately. It's affecting the show.
But when you're a competitor out there, you got sponsors to make happy, teams to make happy, big contracts. You know, you got to do everything in your power, anything and everything you can get to your advantage. You've got to do it, and that's why NASCAR is so strict on everything that they do, and that's just to keep everyone honest.
Did you just say the word honest in racing in the same sentence?
Maybe not the best choice of word there, Steve.
You're not cheating, you're not trying. Some guys don't like that theory, but in all reality, if you're not trying to cheat up the car a little bit, trying to sneak something past the officials, you're not competitive, because you know darn well everybody else out there is doing the same thing, because if they're not competitive. Got to kind of keep up with the Joneses and see what you can get away with. I know Ray Evernham used to talk about we'd cheat up the car with 8 or 9 different things, and a couple of them were super obvious and kind of hopefully throw off the official. Maybe he'll catch these, but he won't catch the other 5 things I did to the car. You see how successful Jeff Gordon was with that mindset.
Exactly, and just like Gordon always said, that if you go through inspection the very first time with no issues, you're not trying hard enough. But it looks like the race will end under caution, and the 44 of Joe Conley will win this race.
Yep, old school rules. No green-white checker here. The 44, Joel Conley, in the Piedmont Airlines number 44, is your winner.
Oh, and there's some frustrations being taken out now after the race.
I think it's just demo derby time.
It might be. It might be.
Well, even with the cautions, I will say 100 laps here at Martinsville does click off mighty fast. Unfortunately, we had a lot of cautions here in the later stages of the event. Couldn't get a real strong green flag run in. Either way, pretty cool to see these old paint schemes, these old 87 Legend cars on the track. Kind of makes me want to jump into a session. It is early enough. It's only 9 o'clock. that's going to about do it. We'll go over the race results here. Of course, the 44, Joel Conley, he was our pole sitter. Took a pit stop before the halfway point, got some fresh tires, was able to get a long enough green flag run to weave his way through the field and get back up front. Was in a good position when the 5 decided to pit late for tires, probably fuel as well. Joel inherited the lead and eventually won the race. Second place was the 7 of Gary Corley. Third was Nick Winnick. Again, I'm sorry for messing up your name. I guarantee I am doing that. Fourth is Simon Grills in the 83. Fifth, Jordan Shepler in the 33. That's Skull Bandit machine. The 6th was Charlie Mosley Jr. in the 89. 7 was Cody Bullock in that Miller Lite number 2. 8th was Lorenzo Malave in the 84. I think I might actually got that one right this time. 9th was Jesse Scott in the 96 machine. 10th, Charles Phipps in the 11. That Busch Beer entry. 11th was Brian Jackson in the 03. 12th, Jamie Haynes in the 25. 13th was Glenn Lawson in the 30th. 14th was Cody Matthews in the 21. 15th, Brendan Madonia was in the 5 car, outside pole sitter, ran up front for most of the race, got into traffic later on and ended his race 5 laps down. 16th was Michael Carter in that Davey Allison paint scheme. And last but not least, series admin Joe McAdory in the 12 in the 17th spot. So the Apex Pro 100 from Martinsville Speedway is in the books. It's just kind of a preseason exhibition race. I hope it was fun to watch for you guys. It was fun to call. Would love to have seen more laps, more green flag runs, and some competition. But either way, all fun was had by all. And Brian, what's your stance on it tonight? What you saw?
You know, these cars, like we said at the beginning of the race, they are super hard to drive. And on a track like Martinsville, coming right out of the gate, maybe some guys out there with limited practice in these cars, it's going to be a tough race. And we've seen that tonight. A lot of cautions, a lot of bent fenders, a lot of mad guys back at the shop. But going forward, I got to believe we get on some of these intermediate and super speedway tracks that the racing's going to be a whole lot cleaner, a lot more exciting to watch. Not saying that this race wasn't exciting, but there was a lot of slow laps out there. Looking forward to, seeing what the rest of this series has to hold. I'm sure there's some good drivers out here that are just waiting to showcase their talent.
Good thoughts from Brian Rose up here in the HBR TV booth. With that, we're going to sign off here in just a moment. Please stop by to facebook.com/HollerBoysRacingTV if you have any broadcast interests of having us cover a race in the future. Same goes for the guys at the Throwback Brand Cup Series. If you'd like us to cover more of these races in the future, please hit us up. We'll be happy to help you out. As long as we've got the dates on the schedule available, we'll work something out. So again, for Brian Rose in the HBR TV booth, I'm Steve Singer. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.